Hi, I'm Emiliana Martin, your host for the Revivalist News Network. Today is Friday, May 29th, and the last 24 hours has been absolutely surreal as we're kind of dealing with the whole Minneapolis situation where the cop finally got arrested. There were riots last night, and my jaw was on the floor as I heard the president incite a little bit more violence. So I have my friend here, Bill Breck, who I love to pieces, who is my spiritual soulmate. Oh my God, one of only a few. And I thought it was important to have him to start doing regular conversations, but he contacted me today, and I really needed to talk. And I just figured out I better turn this. Yeah. So I'll start with, I hate the president, but I'm a Christian woman, so I deeply dislike him. Lord, please forgive me. I confess.
That's a good prayer.
Yeah. But you were saying, so tell me what you told me earlier on the text. You said that you got some pictures from your brother or a friend in Minneapolis.
Yeah, actually my niece, she's on social media, not so much my brother.
Is she out and about?
Yeah, so she was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, and she went away to study law at Tulane, New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then they had their shutdown, so she's back home. And it's just been, I think, everyone's saying this has been building.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm from the Midwest. She's from the Midwest, but it's not just a Minneapolis thing. Everyone's saying no, it's not just Minneapolis. I'm in Northern California, as are you.
And Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Oakland's going to start at 8 p.m. tonight. We have Sacramento, Seattle, LA all weekend long.
Yeah, New York's been on a tear.
Oh yeah. And
yeah, in fact, what was interesting was this morning. So I get up doing my usual routine, my new usual COVID-19 routine, which is to get up, have some coffee, and start sewing masks so I can make a few extra dollars. And to be honest with you, I was just like, I cannot believe this is happening. So I turned the idiot box on, and it was worse. It was getting worse. And
unbelievable.
And my phone blew up because I have a COVID-19 family call like about once a month. And so I have on my iPhone an iMessage group with all of my relatives and or most of them, and it blew up today. I mean, people are like, "What the?" Like, I know.
I think today it's over the top.
Yeah, and what was interesting is I have cousins in Germany who were like, "What the hell is going on?" I mean, they were already asking what the hell is going on about the COVID. Now it's this. And like you said, yeah, this has been building up. And especially with Bill Barr as the Department of Justice. I mean, I saw in a woman's, I saw last night this woman in Minnesota on a car, on her window, she wrote, how can you call the police when you're being attacked when the police are the murderers, or something along those lines. And I'm like, she's right. What else are we supposed to do? I mean, I'm grounded in Christ, but this is really hard as a Christian. My cousin said, well, we got to pray. And I said, no, yeah, but we got to protest while we pray. Because this isn't working. Martin Luther King set the example. We shall overcome, arm to arm, walking down the street protesting. And
well, why is it harder this time? I have one theory, because it's in the Midwest, not the usual suspected cities, but I mean, it's hard because of COVID. It's hard because, tell me why. It's really bad.
Well, no, in fact, that was one of the first things I thought of when I was watching the demonstrations yesterday, was like, oh my God, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody's staying apart. A lot of people though are wearing masks, which is kind of encouraging. I'm watching Ali Velshi on MSNBC, and at one point he's putting on his big mask over his other mask, and then he takes it off, and then the other mask the COVID mask breaks, and after a while he just stopped talking. He just stopped wearing the mask, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, and CNN, the reporter shook hands with a community activist after the interview. It's like, and I'm going to sanitize after.
And you heard about Oscar Hernandez on CNN getting arrested on camera.
Yeah, Omar, yeah. And then
was it Omar Hernandez?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been there 8 years. He was an intern, and he was just full of grace throughout it. But he was.
Well, yeah. What else can he do? He's on camera.
He was showing them the ID with CNN with $1 million camera. And what was the response? We're just following orders. So that's not good. Just following orders. That's the title of this episode.
One of the city council members said that the irony was that he was interviewed. They had a white CNN person interviewed an officer or something, and didn't get arrested. The black guy did while he was on air.
Yeah, and even now he still has not been told why. Just following orders.
I mean, are we that dumb now that we just follow orders just for the sake of following orders? We don't.
But we know why. But we know why he was arrested, right? I mean, this is very clear what's going on. It's very clear what's happening. I think a lot of people are like, I'm confused, but it's so clear. And I think what's different this time is there was a very compelling video. It's a brutal video.
Oh, there's 4. And
yep.
They were able to forensically string them all together.
Yeah. So yay, mobile phones and videos. But I mean, it's just this is different. And the legal system is not ready to handle people right there with the phone.
A few years ago, we had a situation with Dallas, right? Remember that? That whole thing where there was a shootout, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I think it happened on a Friday or a Saturday night. So I go to church on Sunday, and I bring it up to my pastor, who I love this man. And he happens to be white. Actually, he's Portuguese, and he's just the sweetest. He's the sweetest Pillsbury Doughboy.
Where is he from? That's the key.
That's a good question.
Raise, values, all that. Yeah.
I think he's from the Bay Area.
Okay.
Yeah. But I told him about it, and I expressed my angst, and I said, could you please address this? And his response was, if the Lord leads me. And I felt like, what do you mean if the Lord leads you? Isn't this lead enough? One of your flock is being affected by this. And, he has a diverse, I'm Puerto Rican. There's a bunch of us, like I used to sit right behind him in the pastor's way.
Right.
And I was in the second row. And then behind me, we called it the Puerto Rican section because it was mostly Puerto Ricans sitting,
Solidarity.
And so there's Puerto Ricans who come to this church, Blacks who come to this church, Hispanics who come to this church, Asians who come to this church.
Bay Area.
And he said nothing. And I, okay, the Lord has a plan, and it's not mine, and I will learn to live with this. But when Hurricane Maria happened to Puerto Rico, and I begged him, because the week before they had rapid fire prayer for Texas and Florida and Louisiana. Rapid fire prayer, right? And I'm like, right on. So I said, can we have some rapid fire prayer for Hurricane Maria? They got hit twice. And if the Lord leads us to, nothing. He didn't even say the words Puerto Rico.
I mean, that's sad because you requested and the Lord speaks through you, right? So the Lord did.
Right.
Did lead.
And that's when
it was very devastating. And 2 back-to-back I mean, it's way beyond what we sustained here.
Right. Well, what really concerns me now is,
All right, let's talk.
so
Yeah. Other people share the same concern, so we'll start and we'll expand.
no, for me, this all goes back to remember our Truth and Reconciliation Conference?
Yeah, bring the light. Yeah, I've told everyone about that, and now it gets real.
Yeah, in fact, now I'm starting to hear it. I'm starting to hear Truth and Reconciliation together. And they're starting to really talk about it. And the fact that this has been going on for 400 years and that our original sin is, I mean, yeah, we talked about this in 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, where, no, a couple of years. Where have you heard it this week?
Today I heard it on, my gig is MSNBC. So I heard it there today.
Oh, amazing.
I think Maya Wiley is the one who mentioned it. But regardless, it's just, when is this country going to say, okay, enough? When are the Republicans going to stand for life? They profess pro-life. This man has been murdered. I mean, and then the guy, Armand Arbery in Georgia, murdered, gunned down. And in fact, I heard they said today, as they read parts of the police report, part of the autopsy said that he didn't die of asphyxia. Oh, no. He died of heart disease and other chemicals that were in his body, as if to imply he was out of shape, on death's door, and probably on drugs. So it wasn't really the cops' fault. I mean, what? You know what? If this guy, if this George Floyd were white, oh, whoa, hey, Trump would be on the first flight out of Andrews Air Force Base. He'd be like, let's fire it up. We're going to have nope. He's black. Oh, yeah. And now we're making.
He's not helping. It's really bad.
I would also like to, put my arms around Jack Dorsey's, give him kind of a noogie,
Yay, Jack. Boo, Zuckerberg. But
Mark Zuckerberg hasn't said anything. Facebook has said nothing.
Well, yesterday he said
Brad Parscale.
No, he said something yesterday. He did his video message, and he did it on Fox News.
That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, but Jack doesn't. Jack's way beyond that. Jack's a lot more confident. He's been around the block. Jack cares. He gets it.
What I like, okay, so from a spiritual standpoint,
yeah, let's go.
This is clearly warfare. It is intensely escalating. And everything in me right at this moment is saying there's something breaking on the horizon.
Well, did God put all this together? So there's the lockdown, these events, there's me talking through it. So this is not going to be the normal outcome. I'm hopeful that this will be some breakthrough.
Well, yes, but I really feel like it's almost as if Satan knows something good is coming. Right. And so it's almost as if the darkness is trying to overtake the light, really working hard, and it's not working out the way they planned. And so I just feel like this is just a greater level of warfare. Trump is a symptom, not the actual issue.
No, it's not just a feel, it is for sure. This is, no doubt.
So it's like,
a lot more people are involved. This is involving, I think, a lot more people than previous incidents. And it's nonstop in the news, nonstop.
I'm a journalist, right? And by training.
Love it.
And so naturally I'm a news junkie. I mean, my minor was political science. I thought about getting two bachelors at the same time.
Yeah, I think they go together.
They do. because my goal was, White House press corps. And then I had my internship and I said, no, White House press secretary, thank you.
Yeah, even better.
And
next election.
Yeah, but what do I say to my? Last night I was thinking, is this how my parents felt during the Watts riots?
Yeah.
The Watts riots were like what, 60, 68? Isn't that when?
I was in Detroit during the Detroit riots in '67, about the same time frame.
Okay, so my parents still lived. I think we still lived in Southern California, and they were petrified. Bobby Kennedy died that year. Martin Luther King died that year. The world was going to hell in a handbasket, and it's like there was nobody standing for them. And let me see, LBJ. No, they were somewhere between LBJ and Nixon, right? I mean, I can imagine the hopelessness, but the fact of the matter is, my parents' generation got the job done for civil rights, but
well, they put the ball in motion.
They put the ball in motion, got the civil rights thing, and then my generation said, "Oh, cool, yay, cruise control." No. And so the way I explained it to my son was, civil rights movement, got to treat it like a child. You got to feed it, you got to clothe it, you got to stay on top of it. Every so often it needs some vaccinations and, needs food. If you don't feed it, it's going to die. And it died. We let it die. And Sheldon Whitehouse did this PSA where he's walking down the hallway and there's all this paper stacked along the hallway. 85 decisions, 5-4 in the Supreme Court that have had a significant influence on the United States in reversing, taking us back into the 50s. And now I am scared to death about what the Supreme Court's what their decisions are going to be, because what they're going to be deciding is, to me, they hold the life breath of democracy in their hands. I mean, if we can't keep the president accountable and get his tax returns, we're screwed. You're either with us or you're against us. Your money tells us everything we need to know about you.
Yeah, or his Twitter tweets, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I mean,
I like that metaphor of the baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's bigger than the baby. It is really deep. It's really foundational. It's not just like, okay, we pass a bill and it's done. It's a really deep issue, and it touches on many aspects of humanity throughout all of humanity, right? It's huge. It's huge. And we just think it's, just pass a few laws and that's good, right? But until people start loving their neighbor, right? And
I don't understand why it's so hard to love your neighbor as yourself. These people who call themselves evangelicals, I consider myself an evangelical, but I read the Bible and I don't just know the verses, I live them. They mean everything to me. They set me straight. They give me hope. They
never fail, right?
Right. And so
they can be hard. It takes effort, takes heart, takes the ego has to recede, and you have to look at that person from God's perspective.
Right.
Society says don't do that. These are bad people, this or that, right?
Do you think lost my train of thought. Now, I think if civil rights was okay, so at the time the civil rights thing was signed, 64, right?
Yeah.
So it was baby. Let's just call the civil rights movement a baby. It has suffered severe child abuse and neglect. mean,
Well, the problem is there's like 380 million parents that have to embrace this baby, this concept, right?
well, no, I think that for people of color, they embrace the concept, but we just felt like, okay, job is done. And it's like, no, it's not.
I like that child abuse. I think that's there. Yeah, that's good.
I mean, the civil rights movement has been hijacked by white America, who can't stand the fact that blacks and minorities are successful and literate, educated, small business owners.
Why?
You know,
Why?
and heaven forbid.
I don't get it. I don't get the logic though. It's all emotion.
Fear. It's fear. Fear that they're going to lose their station, their status.
Yeah, so love your neighbor means sharing the pie, right, or something, right? There's a sharing aspect. There's equality. I mean, love your neighbor is somewhat of a cliche. So what does love your neighbor? What does that mean on street level?
What does it mean?
Yeah, so fear is huge, right? You can see that.
No. What does it mean? What does love your neighbor really mean? What was Jesus really saying? I mean,
I'll start with, we are all made in the image of God. And another verse says, to the extent you love your neighbor, you love God. But I mean, practical level, I have neighbors. I have mostly people of color neighbors. And do I know them? Do I share dinner with them, break bread with them, right? So it starts with that real stuff.
it's hard to be a Christian right now. And I feel as a spirit-filled Pentecostal, so to speak, woman who hears from the Lord, I know he's mourning this. This isn't fun. I'm sure the Lord's not exactly enjoying watching us killing each other, literally. It's not why he died on the cross. He died on the cross so that we would have life more abundant. This doesn't...
Yeah, and to break down the barriers of hostility.
You know,
it's hostility between different people groups. It's not just us and God. It's very much between the Jews, the non-Jews. I mean, it's those man-made barriers of hostility. And yeah, I agree with you. It's fear. And what's the source of the fear? Because people don't trust that God provides for everyone. God, there's abundance in God, right? There's enough for everyone.
Right. It's fear that you won't get yours, or somebody is going to get yours.
Right. And I think there's also a lot of scapegoating. Scapegoating is related to fear. So, you know, obviously being locked down for 3 months, people are going crazy.
It's been kind of hard. I just, you know.
Trump kind of blames China as a scapegoat, but.
Yeah, that press conference today, I'm like, dude, seriously? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna back up for just a second. So Trump's press conference today was all about China, right? China and Hong Kong and
I thought it was all about his tweets in Minneapolis, but yeah.
No, oh yeah, it was all about.
I saw it. It was a major faux pas, yeah.
But now, as I was listening to his whole thing about China, first of all, it was the best delivery he has ever done on a speech. The best. He was purposeful, on target, on time. It's like, wow, dude, took you 3.5 years to figure out how to do it right. And I agree with a lot of what he said.
He was presidential for once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it exactly. And I agree with a significant portion of what he was right on target. But I don't care about China right now. COVID. Civil rights. Speak to us. This man has no ability to feel pain. I don't think he's ever felt pain. Ever. I mean, to this day, I'm convinced that he's the reason my parents moved from the Bronx out here, because they said they could not get a place to live. They tried to buy a house. They tried to get a good rental.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain they ran it up against Trump Inc. And here we are today, and this man is.
It's very insensitive. Very insensitive.
I had a dream this week. It was Saturday, that I was just being caught in a web with all these, like, they weren't like ticks, but they were these really annoying little bugs that scared the living daylights out of me. I wasn't sure if they were spiders or what. And I just couldn't, and I woke up, I'm like, what? So, thank you, Jesus, for Google. And I said, what is this? I'm worried about a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
So what have you heard? You watch the news a lot more than I do. The Christian and non-Christian insights, what's going on here? I mean, we know what happened this past week, but I'm more interested in how this works out in a God-glorifying way.
The canary in the coal mine for me is Franklin Graham, and he does not care. I'm certain that Billy is rolling in his grave going, oh my God, my son is just not attending to priorities of the church.
What did Franklin say? Or maybe he said nothing, and that's what you're
Well,
saying.
actually, a number of months ago, he said, about Trump, he said, I never said that he was a good man. I mean, nobody has come to Trump's defense and said he's a good man. But they wanted the judges. They wanted policies. They wanted somebody who was going to sign into law everything they wanted. And now McConnell's push, no judgeship left behind, no judge vacancy left behind. He's appointing people who aren't even qualified, who've never been on the other side of the bar in a trial. And these are appellate level judges.
Yeah, that's a good insight. That's crucial, right? That's beyond Trump. That's a legacy.
Extremely important. 1 in 4 judges.
By the way, Trump cannot make law, but those people can.
Right, and that's what makes them dangerous, because they were on a list provided to them by the Federalist Society. 2.5 years into this man's presidency, I now understand what the Federalist Society believes. I mean, oh God.
That's pretty toxic. This is society. It's not a democracy. It's a privileged society that's got way too much power.
So what do we do other than pray? I mean, yeah, we'll be praying because Jesus needs to give us some direction. Absolutely.
No, we pray so he will give us that direction. So
right. So
yeah, everyone's asking, what do we do? Right? That's what.
I mean, during the impeachment, when Adam Schiff was asking, we can't wait any longer. Mm-hmm. This man's going to destroy us. Mm-hmm. We'll do it. We'll not care about anyone but himself. Here we are. Adam Schiff looked into this crystal ball, and sure enough, here we are. And the Republicans, complicit, said, "Oh no, it doesn't rise to the level of." And now,
one idea is I saw a senator from Minnesota saying we have to take over justice in the state. The cities are not doing it. That's pretty aggressive. That's
No. I'm a states' rights person right now.
No, he was a state senator. He said the state, Minnesota, has to step in and make things right. He's a black senator. So when you say what do we have to do, that's a Christian perspective or American or?
I see them one and the same.
Yeah.
Especially since we were founded on Christian principles. You know, although one of my previous pastors said after 9/11 that we're not a Christian nation, we're a nation with some Christians in it. We are not a Christian nation. And we're a minority. We are not the majority.
By the way, I don't think Israel was a Christian nation either. Right? So don't beat yourself up too much. But
yeah.
I've seen some people say, "What should we do?" And she said, "We all have a platform. Use your platform. We all have someone, and you have a great platform. And your platform will be, enlarged by God's guidance. And so it's just speaking truth to power, to others, to people who are lost. I mean, we said this is a fear issue, and a lot of fear comes from I don't know what's going on. I don't know where to go. So I think we can provide some very clear guidance, right?
Here's a place to start. So tonight is my home church group meeting, right? And we're gonna do our Zoom call, and John and Joey are amazing. Love them to pieces. But John said something to me that just, I've heard it so many times, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing it. And that is, well, I don't agree with everything, but there's some things that I think he's doing right, like the judge, seriously, like the judges and some other policies or what have you. And I finally, a week later, because I'm slow. A week later, I say to him, if you were, there was a leader one time who brought this country right back into the thick of it, restored some order, gave people pride in their nation. People are working again and feeling, and you would think he's a great leader, right? He goes, yeah. I said, except he killed a few million Jews. So doesn't that kind of kill any good that he did? Doesn't that just sort of kill any of it? I mean, it just completely negates anything good that he may have done. I cannot give that to me, that it's the battlefield of the mind. Joyce Meyer nailed it. And we need to get people to stop allowing this to happen. There are no trade-offs. We are all enslaved until all of us are free. I don't know how else to say that. We are enslaved to something until all of us are free. We're supposed to be free in Christ. Christ stood for women. He stood for the least of these.
He was all about outreaching to the marginalized. Every action he did was go to the marginalized.
And he spoke truth to power.
Yeah.
I mean,
some of my friends have never heard that phrase. Some of my Christian friends never heard that phrase.
Truth to power?
I was shocked.
Wow.
I mean, what was Jesus doing?
You brood of vipers. That's kind of truth to power.
I mean, it's just, that those exact words are not in the Bible, but you look at his actions nonstop. But I mean, his total focus was bringing the marginalized in, making them feel included.
Right.
So I agree with you, right? Everyone has to be there. That's a very clear goal that Jesus had. Very clear goal.
Was to bring everyone to the table.
Yeah.
To let people know that everyone has purpose. We are children of God. Those who follow.
Right. So I said, he's reaching out to the marginalized, lepers, Samaritans, right? But he was also very much about just demolishing any system that had some power structure. And to the extent that you're buying into a system where, you know, this group has power of this group, he was there to just make sure that was demolished.
Yeah, and think about how controversial it was when he said that he would tear down this temple and rebuild it in 3 days. I was thinking about that last night, you know, and I you know, having my conversation with the Lord about us. You know, there's so much conversation about getting back to church, opening up churches again. Excuse me, the church is not a building. The church is not a building!
Louder, louder. Yeah. Yep.
You know, and how do I know this? Because he said he was going to tear down the walls of that building and that it would be raised up in 3 days in bodily form, in the form of Christ. My body is a temple unto the Lord. I am the church. You are the church. Together we are the church. Why is it so important? I mean, oh, God help us. God, this is really hard. This is really hard. I see Satan all over this. He's about stealing, killing, and destroying, right?
Yeah.
So what is he stealing, killing, and destroying? I'm not going to give you the answer. I'd like to hear from you.
He's definitely destroying the rights of people, rights of humanity, right? These Christian values that Jesus put out there. He's destroying clear thinking about what's right, what's wrong. You know, there's tons of economic issues that he's manipulated.
Yeah, 25% unemployment.
Yeah, and you know, this year it's all about health resources, right? So I heard a woman say, "So you send us." She's speaking about Trump from a Minneapolis perspective. So you send us absolutely zero face masks. Now you're sending us National Guards to shoot us, right? And she knows which one is more expensive than the other.
You know, I have to admit, as I was watching the mayhem last night, I could sense the Lord saying, "Oh, oops, 5 minutes till, Rachel."
All right.
No. I record. I got time. What was I saying? Oh, poop.
Satan, destroying, stealing. So, yeah.
Well,
last night you saw something.
Oh yeah, so I was watching the mayhem, and one of the things Allie kept saying is, "There's no cops out here. The National Guard's been mobilized. There's nobody here. I see no National Guard. They've abandoned us here." And all of a sudden I thought, oh my God, this is Ferguson all over again.
Yeah.
And then it hit me, and the Lord's like, watch carefully. And I'm watching, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is the lesson learned from Ferguson. Don't send in the National Guard. Don't send in riot police. You will simply incense the rioters and make it worse.
Yeah.
I felt like that was brilliant. And when the mayor finally, at 1 o'clock in the morning press briefing, and he said, you know, we can replace brick and mortar. We can't replace lives. I'm like, there it is. That was it.
It is, yeah. It's true, right? It's true. Not just that's not a political statement. It's absolute truth.
And I felt like he was embracing life.
We have to internalize that. I think Jesus said exactly the same thing in many, many situations. Right?
And I felt so heartened about this mayor of Minneapolis. He's so passionate. He gets it. And he expressed himself. His everything that he said, it's like, oh, wait a minute. There are some white people that get this. I mean, because I feel like you're rare. You're a rare person. And then there was this mayor who was just saying exactly what this was. I was just so grateful.
Yeah, it's very clear what he said. I think it'll take time for people to focus on that and say, yeah, that's the main focus. That's the main goal.
I mean, because I have to admit, it was hard to watch those small businesses going under, up in flames, and then they torched the Target. I'm like, oh, here we go. Do you really have to do that? But then I sensed the Lord saying to me, that's not the rioters. That's darkness coming in.
Yep.
Right? And the same thing happened in Ferguson. Agitators from the outside come in and made it worse. And so the same thing is happening here, except fortunately this mayor is like, no, I felt like that was so important for him to have made that statement, because people needed to hear that life matters. In fact, the new catchphrase is all lives will matter when Black lives matter. That was, whoever came up with that was brilliant. Or Black lives matter after all lives matter. It's just, there's a reason for that saying.
No, your version, your expanded version is more helpful.
Yeah, and John and Joey, they're so cute. They're like, we're repenting on behalf of all whites. I'm like, no, you can't.
That's kind of cute. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. I love you.
Yeah, they're coming around.
They're trying. I've had my moments with Joey where I'm like, you know what? You don't get it. You're white, blah, blah, blah. And then we had to talk
I heard a lot of stuff in the news about, he died. This is life. He's not coming back, right? So this emphasis on life, I think, is a big part of what people
That's
are
what's missing.
And there's mothers, right? Something about mothers. Oh, he cried out to his mom.
Yes.
So he has all the moms right away, but that's real, right? I would do that.
Of course, he knew. If nobody came to his defense, he was gonna die. And as I'm watching, I could barely watch it, and all I could think of was, if that were my son, I would just no.
Yeah, you don't do a trail on the asphalt because
for $20, for a possible $20. I mean, I must confess, I went to this particular place. I gave them money and they gave me change back immediately. The ones didn't feel right. I'm like, what? I gave it to my son and I go, check this out. He goes, ooh, this doesn't feel right.
$1 bills?
They were singles, yeah. And I'm like, and so, the guy might have received a $20 bill that was bogus, but he didn't think anything of it. I mean,
yeah, I mean, $20. It's
$20, and it was a death sentence.
Okay, so this officer.
Wait. Can I tell you one real quick story? So
yeah.
For the second day in a row, my little Chihuahua escaped, and I finally have figured out we're not leaving the gate door open. He dug a hole somewhere, and I got to find it. So fortunately, this happened after I got new tags where I had a thing with my name and phone number on it, right?
Smart.
And the guy calls, and I said, yeah, I'd be happy to come on over. Where are you? And he's right. I mean, he's like 3 minutes from me. I said, okay, we're coming. So I sent my son, who didn't like being sent. I said, moms are 4. So I sent him off to go get the dog. He goes over there. He calls me, goes, there's nobody here. I'm like, really? He goes, did you look at any of the entrance doors? Are you sure? There's nobody here. I said, come home. So I called the guy back and I said, my son was there, and which Ranch 99 are you at? Are you at the one on Wolf Road or De Anza, or where are you? And sure enough, he's at the one right here. So I said, okay. And he calls back and he said, I'm here. I've been here. I never left here. I said, okay, so you didn't see my son, a 6'4" black man with a big Rastafarian Afro hairdo, something or another, with a leash? You missed it? I mean, there's you can't miss my son.
That's strange. That's strange.
And so no, this gets better. So then he threatens me and says he threatens to keep the dog, and I'm like, what?
What?
And he goes, oh, I'll keep the dog. I'm like, I've been through this dog napping crap before. So I said, you know what, dude? I'll be right over.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
I get dressed, and I'm walking out the door, and I told my son where I was going and what's going on. He could tell my attitude. I'm just like, I'm gonna let him have it. As soon as I get the dog on the leash, I'm just gonna go to town, because I was like, I have my New York. That's it, buddy. This is gonna. And my son knew I was gonna rip him to shreds. And he goes, no, mom, let me do it. Let me get the dog. So he goes over and gets the dog. The guy reluctantly gave the dog back to my son and tried to accuse us of animal neglect or animal abuse. And he's like, oh, is it because of the spot on his leg? No, it's because he's really thin and doesn't look like he's eats. And my son says, yeah, I feed him every day. What are you talking about?
Wow.
So he
wait up, line. Wait.
Yeah, so he gets Plankton back on his leash, and the guy's mouthing off at Max while he's walking away. So Max, uncharacteristically, is just like, as he's walking away. And a part of me was like, is this being exacerbated because of the events
in
our country? I mean,
it affects everything.
I mean, my son has gone from when he was in middle school saying, there's no racism, there's what discrimination, to, oh God, what the hell is going, yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Dogs a loving, pet sort of thing, and then he turns it into a racial incident.
Well, I don't think it was so much a racial incident as it. Well, I mean, what I'm saying is when I hear stuff like that,
making accusations, maybe not racial, but it's not a loving interaction.
Never assuming the best, only assuming the worst.
Right.
I mean, I've had a Santa Clara County Sheriff's officer come to my front door and yell at me for something I didn't do. Somebody accused me of something I didn't do, and he's yelling at me. Yelling at me. And so, standing in my house, I yelled back.
I know you.
I mean, I love America. I love this country. It's the greatest country on earth. But right now, we're in the midst of some massive growing pains. That's what this is.
I really liked your baby analogy.
Yeah, we have to, the first birth was America. The second birth was civil rights.
Yeah.
We have to take care of, let's just say civil rights is a girl. We have to take care of her.
No, it's a great image, right? It takes it from some legalistic sort of, political thing. It's like, this is something that's very precious, and it needs nurturing, it needs care, it needs the heart behind it.
Right, but you see, what I see is whites are scared to death of us. They're scared to death of losing their grip on power, as if we're going to oppress them. And most of my white Christian buddies, one woman in particular said of Obama, I felt like he was gaslighting us. What?
Wow.
Now, I did not vote for Obama, not once.
I do now. Okay, why?
Didn't know? I did not vote for him the first time.
What did you see? I respect it.
I saw a junior senator from Illinois. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth when I was trying to say he's junior senator from Illinois,
it's true.
I sensed the Lord going, yeah, so is Kennedy, junior senator from Massachusetts. I'm like, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
So I wasn't impressed with him. And I felt like Oprah was pushing him. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is not the book of the month club.
No.
So because Oprah's shoving him down our throats, I'm like, no, I don't want an Oprah president. I don't want Oprah's picked for a president. And so I wanted Hillary. So even on that day, on election day, I wrote in Hillary. I was so pissed. I'm just like, forget it, Hillary. And here's what I appreciate about Obama. I didn't agree with about 75% of his policies, especially Israel. That was a burr under my saddle. I just really did not appreciate his take on that. But he allowed me, by being no drama Obama, no scandal, no nothing, he allowed me the dignity to focus on public policy, to focus on the things that this nation needed to, we needed to have debate.
Yeah, there was like more than one issue during his presidency. And they were vital issues. It wasn't like the tweet of the day, tweet of the month.
And the first time I felt his presence when Obama was doing something was when he started to sing Amazing Grace at that funeral. It felt so thick and hard on me. I felt the Lord push. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, oh my God. Because up until that point, I wasn't sure if he was a believer. But when he did that and I felt the Lord's presence, I knew.
That's great.
And to this day, I am so sorry that I didn't at least vote for him on the second term.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's just one 10-minute segment where you vote. But, there's 8 years where you can be adjusting, participating, right? And what I dislike the most about the American model is, every 4 years we just go there and we push a button and we're done. We retreat. We're not active. And
I think
every single person who is in that office needs help, needs people to participate, no matter where they are.
Did you notice during 2016 on Facebook, I saw stuff about I saw the voter suppression stuff. It was black out the vote because blacks were pissed off that Obama didn't deal with.
Yeah, same thing for millennials, the 20 generation. Yeah. Right,
and the whole thing about on the millennials, it was.
Well, I saw that during the debates, only 5% of the debate discussion focused on their top 10 issues. So they're saying like, well, so what's in it for us?
Ironically, again, I love how the Lord talks to me. He helps me to understand so much nonsense. And as I was watching the debates between Trump and Hillary, I just felt like when, for example, the time when he stalked her on stage, right? I thought, oh, what is that? And then right up, I felt like the Lord was telling us, she's the one. She should be the one. And right down to the white suit that she wore on the final debate. And there's so much hate and not enough love. The hate is resentment. The resentment is fear. The fear is an absence of God.
Yeah. I mean, if God is absent, fear's everywhere, right?
But how do you explain to people like John and Joey, believers whom I love, you and I have met and loved, and you know, white friends who just, you know, I mean, you know, you know who Greg is, right?
Yeah.
So Greg, I just finally got on Facebook this morning for the first time this week, because that's how often I check now.
Let me see what Greg said there.
He sent me a message. He posted it on my wall. I see you. I'm like, and I care about you. I'm like, oh, I am so grateful to have this man as my pastor. I'll never forget that. I saw that and I said, I loved it. And I have been asking him to focus a little bit on what's happening, because, you know,
Right.
his focus is on Revival Valley.
Right. So it worked, right? So it worked, right? And so it takes time, and you just have to keep talking. And Satan's going to say, no, it's not going to work. Just shut down. And these events are happening. People are confused, and you bring God's interpretation, and it will sink in. People are hurting. They're confused.
So what do you say? What do you say to these people who are hurting?
They need to explore and see what's going on themselves. They need to talk to people who are in that situation. They need to bring the mind of Christ to help them see what's true, what's false.
But you know, the thing about Greg is that
It's a conversation. What you don't do is just say, "Here, I'm going to tell you everything," right? It's a back and forth, and you sense their heart, right? Just like Jesus did. Each person has that block or that fear or that thing. I mean, it's like a therapist session, right? And,
well, every time I bring it up or I want to talk about it, the shtick is, well, that's not our focus.
we're in our, right? So who is our? Who is the royal we?
Well, it's his.
They have to come down from the stage. They have to come down from the podium. From, you know, it has to be like, no, we're here to help you, and don't put on that facade. Don't put on that mask.
What I'm struggling with is everybody's so scared about the Johnson Amendment. You know, they don't want to lose their 501c3 status. But I'm not asking for pastors to talk politics. I'm asking the pastor to speak to my pain. I don't feel safe in America. I'm scared for my son. My daughter, I'm not worried about her. I'm scared for my cousins.
Right. To the extent that they hear it from you, from your son, from your cousins, from other people who are hurting. And
I'm the only one. I'm literally the black sheep of the.
Yeah.
There's nobody else who's black that's in this fellowship.
Right, but they're watching the same news reports, and you can say, see that? See when he's crying out for his mother? What if that was your son? I mean, you can just sort of highlight stuff, but it's a dialogue, right?
I'm gonna have to talk. So I really feel like the Lord has given me Greg, so that I can talk to him. I can talk to Greg. Greg gets it, but he's trying to focus on his ministry, on bringing revival to Silicon Valley. That's great. That's all well and good. But there's no Silicon Valley if there's no no democracy.
I think you can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. And I think they are one and the same.
But then what pastors are not speaking though to that pain. I mean,
pastors are a most difficult breed because they're playing a role, right?
Yeah.
And, he has this agenda, I have to do this, but you have to say, if you add this, or if you focus on this, what God has led you to achieve will actually happen. It's not a different issue. Revival is all about this issue.
Right. You can't have revival without understanding the society you're trying to bring revival to. Didn't Paul say you try when in Rome do as the Romans do, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't see my mission, and I choose to accept it, is to just start talking to Greg more and let him know this is really pressing on me. It really, really is.
Well, he does know that for sure, but he just doesn't know how to connect the dots or what to do.
So if we had an ideal situation, what would Sundays look like in times like these?
All right, can I tell you what happened to me?
Please.
In my childhood?
Yes.
So as I shared, your parents went through the Watts riots. I went through the Detroit riots. My favorite song, by the way, is Panic in Detroit by David Bowie. It's just a cool song.
What is it called? Panic
in Detroit.
Oh.
David Bowie was touring the US for the very first time. And just as luck, he was there when Detroit was burning. He wrote the song in LA the year after Watts was burning. He just said, wow, this is not merry old England. There's something going on here. So my parents' church was a very stiff, high church in a college town. So people want to be PC, right? So I'd been there maybe, in terms of a thinking person, 10, 12 years. And the only message I remember from attending my parents' church was in 1968, they had a guest speaker. It was a Black Panther.
Oh, jeez. Oh, ow.
In high Episcopal church, right? With the black glove, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. And so we have seen that lead to a very strong, cogent argument about affirmative action from the top law school in the nation, just 2 blocks away from that church. But it took more than just one message, right? It took conversations. It took people saying, Greg, yes, but this too, right? So you have to hold Greg's hand. You have to help him process the fear. It's a change, right? It's an understanding. And I mean, this is the latest incident. There will be more. And so this is not just like the past 50, 60 years since MLK. It's been there for many people groups, right? And Jesus is saying, you cannot exclude like this. That's not what love looks like.
Wow.
So I don't think Greg has fear per se. I think Greg is just following what society has been.
No, I believe that he's
leading us, right?
I think that. Okay, so we're talking. We're talking Hope's Law, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I really.
I mean, maybe he needs to have a co-pastor that has the other viewpoint. It really is a process. And obviously pray together and say, like, God, I mean, he has to be humble, right? It's like,
Greg's got plenty humble.
Yeah, right. I mean, just go overboard. Invite people to the table that are not traditionally invited. breaking bread, sitting down with people, hearing their stories. It's one person sharing their life struggles and how they've made it through is worth 10 million sermons. And I mean, just talk to Greg about this baby metaphor. I think that's pretty powerful, right? It needs nurturing, it needs constant attention.
And the civil rights baby is a Christian child. Martin Luther King gave birth to that with LBJ. That thing is absolutely what Jesus wants for us. It's a step in the right direction.
I mean, I'm just going to connect. I'll say it again. He was crying for his mama. And it is just as important as a mother raising their child, right? And we see Jesus using ideas like that as well.
Maybe we just need to think of the civil rights movement in terms of resurrecting it.
Yeah, and maybe that term is just like, it's had to stay, it's not working. With Greg or anyone else, it's not like, okay, so I'm going to tell you how it is, now you get it, and we're done. No, it is going to be, Greg, we also need to be going in this direction.
Something we need to address the root problem.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something big. It's not going to be like one or two messages and we're done. So I hate churches. It's like, okay, for 3 weeks, we're going to focus on this. We're done. And these are monster issues. Right? How to love your wife or husband. 4 weeks and we're done. Are you kidding me?
I know. I remember.
Trivializes monster issues that Jesus is like dying on the cross for.
I think we need to learn how to relate to each other again. You know,
so I think the lockdown maybe.
The lockdown has everything to do with, I believe, the Lord emphasizing that we were made for each other. We were not made to be alone. People are literally committing suicide because they are cut off from people in society. They can't go to the store. They can't go to this. They can't do that. We need each other. This is a classic opportunity for the church to say, you cannot live without me. I cannot live without you.
I've heard at least 20-25% of the churches seeing that. There's hope. I heard a fantastic message last week. The title was all about connectedness, right? Not just with each other, but with trees that give out oxygen, and like, yeah, it's like, this is the big pause is so we can see those connections.
I think so too. It feels like a spiritual timeout to really reflect. And I remember the first week that we were going through this stay-at-home thing, people in Italy were posting on Twitter, we know it's hard, we totally get it, but it gets better after the first couple of weeks. You can do it. I'm like, no! And now I'm kind of settled into it.
Yeah, and I mean, this was truly a global thing, right? Despite what Trump's trying to do, blaming China, but I mean, God works at the global level.
And it was so petty for him to just focus on China. I mean, granted, yes, China has something to do with the pandemic. Okay, yeah, we get that. Can we then focus on life first? We can get to the blame game later and deal with consequences later. But can we acknowledge 100,000 Americans have died? 100,000 Americans have died.
Right. And you have to put that in perspective as they are doing compared to lives lost in wars, right? It's a big number.
It's more lives than were lost for all the conflicts from Korea War up.
That's huge.
I can't imagine. I mean, I had hard enough time.
Those were devastating. That was a lot of pain and suffering.
That's 100,000 families. In fact, one family lost 4 people in the same family. I mean, in the same, group.
Right. Not just a son in the war, but yeah, it's
right. We've lost 3 in my family, but somebody, a cousin here, another cousin there, and another cousin there. So
3. Wow.
3. And one of them
in very few months.
90 days.
Yeah.
Two in New York, one in Miami.
You have any takeaway summaries for next session? It's very, my takeaway is the baby. It had some abuse and it needs nurturing, but it's bigger than a baby, is what I'm saying, right?
No, it's baby Huey now.
Yeah. So it's at least baby size, but it's much bigger than that. I like that. Thanks.
It's Pillsbury Doughboy from Ghostbusters walking down Fifth Avenue.
That's funny.
What it is now. But no, yeah, we need to process this some more. But I really appreciate you, Bill. You mean the world to me. I've been thinking about you the last couple of weeks. Oh, I want so badly.
No, we've had so many good talks. We're learning, we're sharing. I just learned so much. And you ask great questions, and it's not just like, we talk. We're trying to figure out what to do. That's the news today. This woman said on Twitter, everyone has a platform. Everyone has a platform. Use your platform right now. So maybe we can talk about how people can use that. And everyone, Greg, everyone has a platform.
This is
but
hard.
Yeah, let's get more people in on this.
Would you close this out in prayer?
Dear God, thank you for being with us. Thank you for just giving the heart to care about life. Thank you, God, that Jesus was not a man of fear. Jesus was someone who's all about bringing love, and love drives out fear. We pray for all the cities, all the people who are filled with fear. We pray for people in power who are really struggling with, well, we have to follow the official way, but they know deep in their hearts, they've all shared, it hit them as well. So just pray for some deep, impactful changes. Pray for that baby to be given a boost. And pray that just see from your perspective, this is not an issue in Minneapolis. It's not an issue just of this race or this minority. It's an issue of fear and people being afraid that they're going to lose something. And so just change people's hearts, right? What they value is not truly value. They need to value life. Emiliana, thank you for stressing it's all about life. And life cannot be replaced. Life is just beyond worth, beyond. Every person has just invaluable preciousness to the extent that we're all made in the image of God. We don't know why people divide and why people put up all these man-made barricades that Christ died on the cross to shatter. We see that very clearly. That was a long time ago. And we saw in the Watts riots and the Detroit riots, it's like, yeah, that should have been changing minds. But it's like, yeah, okay, good, that's done. Now we can move on. But this is not a sort of move on issue. This is an ongoing issue. Loving your neighbor is a day-to-day issue. So just show us what that looks like. We saw Jesus just nonstop reaching out to the marginalized people, inviting them into the kingdom, nonstop. This is just, this probably is the walk that you want us to do, right? To be there for each other. And there's just so many things that happen to us where it's like, I'm afraid of this, or I'm going to just not care about you. Just guide our hearts to never have that. So we pray for Greg and the other people we know. We pray that you will just help us to be people that bring your love, bring the transformation that we all hope for. So pray for peacemakers this weekend, protect them. Pray for people that don't know you, but are just wondering, what do we need? What do we need? And we've said before, without God, people will have fear. People will just be in darkness. So thank you for this talk today. Thank you for those people that we've heard spoke powerfully today, that I think we hear you speaking through them. And pray that this special time, right? What a cliche, but that this will be an event which the world is watching, will be an opportunity for you to just have a very strong presence, to push back what Satan's doing, to just push back all the kind of things that we turn to make things better. They don't, right? There's only one thing that makes things better. May your presence be stronger, more impactful. Just let us just throw down all our ideas, all our plans, all our laws and this and that, all our cliches, and just listen to you. And you're moving very powerfully through these events. It's very sad that it was a death. We just pray for his family and his friends, for their healing. And it's a very sorrowful week, but we know that you work through pain. You bring that change of heart. Thank you, God, and pray for our next meeting, and pray that this is not just, here's the solution, but it's an ongoing commitment. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. To God be the glory.